My own son had me dragged out of his wedding. I am Dr. William Matthews, and my son Brandon thought I was too weak to fight back, too sick to expose his lies, too desperate to refuse his demands for my $2 million house. He was wrong. You see, Brandon rushed his wedding for one reason. He needed legal control over my assets before I died. He told his bride I had dementia. He told our friends I was losing my mind. He even researched which nursing homes accept Medicaid patients. But Brandon made one fatal mistake. He never investigated how much his dying father was actually worth. $8.5 million. That's what he missed while stealing my monthly royalty checks to pay for his dream wedding. Some lessons cost everything to learn. I hope you'll stick around for this story. It gets wild. And hey, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with people who understand that family betrayal cuts the deepest. Here's how my son's greed destroyed his entire future. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6 months median survival. Dr. Sarah Wilson delivered those words like a medical textbook. Calm, factual, devastating. I sat in that oncology office on March 15th, staring at scan images that showed tumors scattered through my abdomen like deadly seeds. We need to discuss end-of-life planning, she said. Family involvement, support systems. I told her I'd handle that part myself. First mistake. I drove home to my colonial house in Millbrook, Connecticut. 4,200 square feet of memories I'd shared with my late wife, Carol. Brandon was supposed to visit that weekend. Perfect timing to tell him about the diagnosis. Except he never showed. "Dad, something came up at the hospital," he said over the phone. Brandon worked as an administrator at Hartford Medical Center, making $125,000 a year. Rain check? Second mistake. I said yes. 2 weeks passed. Then Brandon called with news that blindsided me. "Emma and I are engaged." Emma Clark, the ICU nurse he'd been dating for 8 months. Sweet girl. I liked her immediately when they started seeing each other. "That's wonderful, son. When's the wedding?" "Christmas 2025. We want a big celebration." 18 months to plan seemed reasonable. I had time to tell him about the cancer. Time to prepare him emotionally. Third mistake. I believed that timeline. April brought strange changes in Brandon's behavior. He started managing my medical appointments, calling my family doctor's office, requesting copies of test results, asking detailed questions about my insurance coverage. "Just being proactive, Dad," he explained. "You're 58. We should stay on top of your health." I found it touching. My son cared about my well-being. April 23rd, I discovered the first nursing home brochure. It was tucked inside Brandon's laptop bag when he visited. Sunset Manor, a skilled nursing facility 30 miles away, $4,200 per month for a private room. The brochure was dog-eared, annotated with Brandon's handwriting. "What's this?" I asked. "Oh, that's for a patient," he said quickly. "Hospital project." But I recognized the address. Sunset Manor was nowhere near Hartford Medical Center. May brought the second red flag. Brandon arrived unannounced on a Saturday morning carrying a manila folder. "Dad, we need to talk about estate planning." He spread documents across my kitchen table, power of attorney forms, healthcare directives, property transfer papers, all pre-filled with his name as my designated agent. "This is just precautionary," he said. "If something happens to you, I can handle your affairs." The papers were dated. They'd been prepared weeks earlier. Something like what? "Dad, you're getting older. Mom died suddenly at 52. We need to be prepared." His mother had died of a brain aneurysm 7 years ago. No warning, no time to prepare. The trauma had shattered both of us. But these documents weren't about sudden death. They were about incapacity, mental incompetence, medical decision-making. "I'm healthy, Brandon. For now." Those 2 words carried weight I didn't understand yet. Memorial Day weekend, the third red flag appeared. I found Brandon in my study, photographing documents, bank statements, investment portfolios, insurance policies. He jumped when I walked in. "Just organizing your files," he said. "Everything's scattered." But everything wasn't scattered. My files were meticulously organized, always had been. June 1st brought the bombshell. "Dad, we're moving the wedding to August 12th. 18 months compressed to 10 weeks. Why the rush? We found a cancellation at Millbrook Country Club. Perfect venue, perfect date. We have to grab it. $85,000 for the reception." Brandon paid the deposit himself. Money he claimed came from his savings. But I knew his salary. I knew his expenses. That deposit represented months of income for him. Where did the money really come from? That question would haunt me for the next 6 weeks. The nursing home research went deeper than one brochure. I discovered this on June 8th while Brandon was at work. He'd left his laptop charging in my kitchen, and curiosity finally overcame my trust. His browser history told a story that broke my heart. Medicaid nursing home eligibility, Connecticut. Asset protection, elderly parents. Power of attorney override medical decisions. Average life expectancy, pancreatic cancer, stage 4. That last search hit me like a physical blow. Brandon knew about my diagnosis, but how? I told no one except Dr. Wilson and patient confidentiality laws. Then I remembered. Hartford Medical Center. Brandon's administrative access to medical records. His proactive interest in my health care. My son had been monitoring my medical files. I scrolled through more searches. Sunset Manor Medicaid beds. Connecticut asset spend-down requirements. House sale to qualify for Medicaid. The picture crystallized with horrible clarity. Brandon's plan wasn't to inherit my house. It was to sell it, force me into Medicaid eligibility, warehouse me in the cheapest possible facility while he kept the proceeds. A $2 million house, reduced to nursing home admission requirements. I found the email thread that confirmed everything. Sunset Manor admissions. Brandon Matthews, dated May 15th. Dear Mr. Matthews, thank you for your inquiry regarding private pay to Medicaid conversion for your father. As discussed, we maintain a waiting list for Medicaid beds. Current availability is 18 to 24 months. We recommend applying immediately upon diagnosis of terminal illness to secure placement. The response was swift. Thank you. My father's condition should qualify him within 6 months. Should qualify him. My terminal cancer wasn't a tragedy to Brandon. It was a timeline. But the nursing home emails were nothing compared to what I found next. A folder labeled Wedding Funding contained bank statements I'd never seen. Joint account opened April 3rd, Brandon Matthews and Emma Clark. Balance, $93,000. The deposits told a story of systematic theft. March 20th, $47,000 deposit. Pharmaceutical royalties, W. Matthews. April 4th, $47,000 deposit. Pharmaceutical royalties, W. Matthews. May 2nd, $47,000 deposit. Pharmaceutical royalties, W. Matthews. My pharmaceutical consulting income. Royalties from medical patents I'd developed during 30 years of family practice. Money that should have been depositing into my personal account. Brandon had redirected my income streams. How was this possible? Then I remembered signing papers in April, the estate planning documents I'd thought were precautionary. Hidden among the power of attorney forms must have been banking authorizations. My son had been embezzling from me for months, but the financial theft paled beside the emotional betrayal revealed in the final folder. Emma, need to know, created June 5th. The folder contained a single document, wedding timeline justification for Emma. Brandon's words, explaining the rushed wedding to his fiancée. Dad's been acting strange lately, forgetting things. I'm worried about early onset dementia. The wedding timeline isn't about the venue. It's about making sure he can still participate meaningfully. If we wait until Christmas, he might not recognize us. Lies. Calculated, manipulative lies. Emma believed she was marrying early to include a grandfather figure who might lose his memory. She had no idea she was participating in a con to steal a dying man's assets. I sat in my study until midnight, staring at evidence of my son's betrayal. The stakes were now crystal clear. If I stayed silent, I'd lose everything. My house, sold to fund Medicaid qualification. My dignity, warehoused in a state facility. My voice, silenced by power of attorney documents I'd signed unknowingly. Brandon would control my medical care, decide when I was too sick for home care, determine which treatments were cost-effective versus prolonging suffering. He'd stolen my money, planned my incarceration, and lied to his future wife about my mental capacity. But he'd made one crucial error. In all his research about nursing homes and Medicaid eligibility, Brandon had never investigated the full scope of my wealth. He knew about the house. He'd redirected my pharmaceutical royalties. But he didn't know about the patents, the consulting contracts, the investments I'd built over 3 decades of medical practice. Brandon thought he was stealing from a modestly wealthy small-town doctor. He had no idea he was targeting a multimillionaire. The irony was beautiful. My son was rushing into marriage to steal $2 million in real estate while ignoring $8.5 million in liquid assets. Assets he'd never touch now. I opened my laptop and composed an email to Helen Davis, my estate attorney for 15 years. Helen, I need to see you immediately. Bring will modification documents. It's time my son learned what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you. The war was about to begin, June 10th. Brandon arrived for our weekly dinner, acting like nothing had changed. "How are you feeling, Dad?" I studied his face. The concern looked genuine. The manipulation was perfect. "About the wedding," I said. 10 weeks seems rushed. I told you, we got lucky with the venue. $85,000 lucky." Brandon's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "What do you mean? That's a lot of money for someone making your salary." "Emma and I saved up. For 8 months? We're good with money." I leaned back in my chair. "Show me the savings account." "What?" "If you saved $85,000 in 8 months, show me how." Brandon set down his fork. "Dad, that's personal. So is asking me to sign power of attorney papers." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "Those are standard documents. For someone expecting to become incapacitated. You're 58. Mom died young. I'm being responsible." Or opportunistic. Brandon's mask slipped for the first time. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone and opened his email thread with Sunset Manor. "It means I know about the nursing home." Blood drained from his face. "Dad, I can explain 24-month waiting list for Medicaid beds. That's not what it looks like." "What does it look like, Brandon?" He stood up, pacing to the kitchen window. "It looks like I'm trying to plan for your future care. By stealing my pharmaceutical royalties." He spun around. "Stealing? Those payments were being mismanaged. Into whose account? A joint account for wedding expenses. Without my permission. You signed the banking authorizations, hidden in estate planning documents. You could have read them more carefully." The audacity took my breath away. "So this is my fault? Dad, you're not thinking clearly about long-term care costs. Do you know what private nursing facilities charge? $4,000 a month, $5,000. You could burn through your savings in... What makes you think I need nursing care?" Brandon went silent. "Answer me. You're getting older. Your health could decline. Based on what medical evidence?" Another silence. "Brandon, what do you know about my health?" "I don't know anything specific." "Then why research pancreatic cancer survival rates?" His face went white. "Why research stage 4 prognosis specifically? I never... Hartford Medical Center system access logs, Brandon. Every search is recorded." He collapsed into his chair. "Dad, please let me explain." "Explain how you accessed my confidential medical records? I was worried about you." "So you committed HIPAA violations?" "I needed to understand what we're dealing with." "We." "Your family, your support system. The support system planning to warehouse me in Medicaid facilities? That's not... Dad, you don't understand healthcare economics. Enlighten me." "Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, 6-month median survival. The treatment costs alone could bankrupt you. Chemotherapy, pain management, end-of-life care, we're talking hundreds of thousands." "And your solution?" "Asset protection. Preserve your wealth through Medicaid qualification." "Whose wealth, Brandon?" "Your wealth." "Our family's inheritance." "Inheritance you're already spending on wedding receptions. That money was sitting idle." The mask was completely off now. No more pretense about my well-being. "So you decided to help yourself." "I decided to be practical. About my death. About your situation. My terminal cancer situation." Brandon's eyes widened. He hadn't expected me to say it directly. "Dad, I'm sorry you had to find out this way." "Sorry I found out about my own diagnosis. Sorry the system failed you. Dr. Wilson should have included family in... Dr. Wilson followed my explicit instructions, which were wrong. You need support. You need advocates. I need a son who doesn't steal from dying fathers. I'm protecting your assets by spending them on country club weddings, by preserving them for the future." "Whose future, Brandon? I have 6 months." "Dad, please. 6 months you've been planning around. I've been planning for you." "You've been planning for yourself." I stood up and walked to my study. Brandon followed. "Where are you going?" I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the power of attorney documents he'd brought in May. "What are you doing?" I fed the papers into my shredder. "Dad, stop!" The shredder hummed. 30 seconds later, Brandon's carefully crafted legal documents were confetti. "Those papers took weeks to prepare." "Then you should have been honest about why you needed them." "Dad, you're making a mistake." "The mistake was trusting you." Brandon's face hardened. The loving son disappeared completely. "Fine. You want to do this the hard way?" "What's the hard way?" "Medical capacity evaluations, court-appointed guardianship proceedings, professional assessment of your decision-making abilities." "Is that a threat?" "It's reality. You're terminal, Dad. Your judgment is compromised. The court will appoint someone to make rational decisions about your care. Someone like you? Someone qualified. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Brandon, you have no idea how qualified I really am. What does that mean? It means you should have investigated your target more thoroughly. Target? The man you're stealing from. I walked him to the front door. Dad, we need to finish this conversation. We will, at your wedding. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'll see you August 12th. I closed the door and locked it. The gloves were off, June 11th. I called Helen Davis at 7 a.m. Bill, you sounded urgent in your email. My son is trying to steal my estate. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious crime. Helen arrived within 2 hours, carrying a briefcase full of legal documents. We'd worked together for 15 years. She'd handled Carol's estate, my medical practice incorporation, and countless property transactions. She was the only person who knew the full scope of my wealth. Tell me everything, she said. I laid out the evidence: banking fraud, medical record violations, nursing home conspiracy, the rushed wedding timeline designed to gain power of attorney before my incapacity progressed. Helen took notes in her precise handwriting. The pharmaceutical royalties, when did those payments start redirecting? March 20th, 3 days after I signed his estate planning documents. Without reading them, I trusted him. Fatal mistake with family money, Bill. She reviewed the redirected bank statements I'd printed. $47,000 monthly. That's $564,000 annually. Just from the pharmaceutical patents. What else doesn't he know about? I opened my personal laptop and showed her my private investment portfolio. Vertex consulting contracts, medical device royalties, equipment patents, real estate investments outside Connecticut. Helen's eyes widened as she scrolled through asset summaries. 8.5 million liquid assets, plus the house, 10.5 total. She looked up. Brandon has no idea? He thinks I'm a small-town doctor living on pension and Social Security, while he's stealing from multimillionaire who's terminally ill and supposedly losing mental capacity. Helen closed the laptop. What do you want to do about this? I want him to understand consequences. Legal consequences or family consequences? Both. The banking fraud alone is federal crime. Unauthorized access to medical records violates HIPAA. If we pursue this, we won't. Yet. Then what? I want new will, complete revision, disinheriting Brandon, redirecting his inheritance, medical foundation, cancer research, patient advocacy organizations. That's nuclear option, Bill. He chose nuclear when he started planning my nursing home placement. Helen opened her briefcase and pulled out will modification forms. Who else knows about your diagnosis? Just you, Dr. Wilson, and Brandon, who discovered it illegally. Emma? Brandon lied to her, told her I might have dementia. So she's innocent? Completely. That complicates things. If we expose Brandon at the wedding, we humiliate an innocent woman. Brandon chose the venue for public humiliation. 2 wrongs don't make a right. I considered this. Helen was right. Emma didn't deserve public embarrassment. Can we minimize collateral damage? Depends on your goals. Do you want justice or revenge? I want my son to understand that actions have consequences. Then we need witnesses, authority figures, people who can verify what happened. Like who? Hospital ethics board members, medical professionals, people who understand the scope of Brandon's violations. Helen pulled out her phone and scrolled through contacts. Dr. Sarah Wilson, your oncologist. Is she available Saturday evening? Why? Professional obligation. If she knows about medical record violations and family exploitation of terminal patients, she's required to report it. To whom? Hospital Administration, State Medical Board, Adult Protective Services. The implications dawned on me. Brandon works at Hartford Medical Center, where he committed HIPAA violations using system access. If Dr. Wilson reports this, Brandon loses his job, possibly faces criminal charges. Helen, I don't want to destroy his career. Bill, he's planning to destroy your dignity. She had a point. What about Emma? We protect her, make sure she understands Brandon deceived her about your condition and the wedding timeline. How? Pastor Miller. He's officiating the ceremony, right? For 20 years, he's been our family pastor. Religious leaders have confidentiality protections. He can speak privately with Emma before the ceremony. About what? The truth. Your real diagnosis. Brandon's deception. Give her choice about proceeding. I like this approach. Emma deserved honesty. What about the money? We file bank fraud reports after the wedding. Give Brandon chance to return the stolen funds voluntarily. And if he refuses? Federal prosecution. He'll face 5 to 10 years for elder financial abuse. Helen packed her documents. Bill, are you certain about this path? Once we trigger these consequences, there's no going back. My son researched nursing homes before telling me about his engagement. He stole my money to pay for his wedding. He lied to his fiancée about my mental state. So that's a yes? That's a promise. Then I'll prepare everything. New will, ethics board notification, Pastor Miller briefing, federal fraud documentation. How long? Everything will be ready by August 10th, 2 days before the wedding. Perfect timing for maximum impact. Helen stood to leave, too. Bill, one more thing. How do you want to reveal this at the wedding? Quietly, dignified. Let the facts speak for themselves. No dramatic speeches? Actions speak louder than words. Good. Drama is for theater. This is real life. The pieces were falling into place. August 12th, Millbrook Country Club, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The wedding was everything Brandon had envisioned. Elegant, expensive, perfectly orchestrated. 200 guests filled the main ballroom. Emma looked radiant in her designer gown. The flowers alone probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. All paid for with my stolen money. I arrived early wearing my best navy suit. Several guests approached with condolences about my health issues. Word had spread about my supposed dementia. Such a shame, whispered Mrs. Patterson from our church. Brandon's being so brave about his father's condition. What condition is that? I asked. The memory problems, early onset, they say. Who told you that? Brandon, of course. He's been so worried about you. The lies had spread through our entire community. At 2:30, I approached Brandon near the altar. He was adjusting his tie, nervous energy radiating from every gesture. Dad, you came. Wouldn't miss it. You look good. Disappointed? Of course not. I just meant you expected me to look more demented. Brandon's face tightened. Dad, can we not do this here? Do what? Fight, argue, whatever this is. I brought something for you. I handed him an envelope. What's this? Wedding gift. Brandon opened it and found the power of attorney documents, the ones I'd shredded, now professionally reprinted by Helen's office. You had new ones made? Read them carefully this time. Brandon scanned the documents, his face growing confused. These are blank. Correct. I don't understand. The gift is choice, Brandon. You can sign these documents yourself. Sign what myself? Your confession. Dad, what are you talking about? Page 3, Acknowledgement of Financial Fraud. Page 5, Admission of HIPAA Violations. Page 7, Statement of Elder Abuse Intent. Brandon's hands shook as he flipped through the papers. This is insane. This is justice. Dad, I'm getting married in 30 minutes. Then you better decide quickly. Decide what? Whether you want to confess voluntarily or have it exposed publicly. Brandon looked around the ballroom. Guests were taking their seats. Emma was having final photos taken with her family. You're bluffing. Dr. Wilson is here. Brandon scanned the crowd and spotted my oncologist near the back. Why is she here? Hospital Ethics Board meeting, emergency session. What? Scheduled for 4 o'clock, right after your reception starts. Dad, you can't... Topic: Medical record privacy violations by Hartford Medical Center employees. Brandon went pale. Specific case: unauthorized access to patient files by family members for financial exploitation purposes. Stop. Evidence includes system access logs, redirected pharmaceutical payments, nursing home correspondence. Dad, please stop. And witness testimony from the patient himself. Brandon grabbed my arm. You'll destroy my career. You destroyed my trust. I was trying to help you. By stealing my money? By protecting your assets. Several guests turned toward our raised voices. Lower your voice, I said quietly. You lower yours. Brandon, people are staring. Let them stare. You're being unreasonable. I'm being reasonable for the first time in months. Emma appeared beside us, beautiful and concerned. Is everything okay? Brandon forced a smile. Just father-son talk. You both look upset. We're fine, Brandon said quickly. I looked at Emma, this innocent young woman who'd been dragged into Brandon's scheme. Emma, did Brandon tell you why he moved the wedding date? The venue cancellation, she said. We got lucky. Did he mention my medical situation? Emma's face softened with sympathy. He told me about the memory issues. I'm so sorry. What memory issues? The early onset dementia. Brandon said it's why we moved the timeline, so you could participate meaningfully. Brandon shot me a warning look. Emma, I said gently. I don't have dementia. Dad, Brandon started, I have pancreatic cancer, stage 4, 6 months to live. Emma's face went white. What? Brandon has known about my diagnosis since March. He never told you the truth. Brandon, Emma turned to her groom, is this true? Emma, it's complicated. Is it true? Yes, but you lied to me. I was protecting you from what? The truth about your father's illness? From making emotional decisions based on terminal diagnosis? Emma stared at him. Emotional decisions like rushing our wedding? Emma, please. Like spending $90,000 we don't have? Brandon's mouth opened and closed silently. Where did that money come from, Brandon? Emma, this isn't the time. Where did it come from? I answered for him. My pharmaceutical royalties, $47,000 monthly, redirected into your joint account without my knowledge. Emma looked between us, understanding dawning. You stole from your dying father? I protected assets from nursing homes spend down. By lying to me about his condition? By being practical about long-term care costs? Emma's voice rose. You used his cancer diagnosis to justify theft? Guests were definitely staring now. Conversation stopped. Phones appeared. Emma, please keep your voice down, Brandon pleaded. Keep my voice down? You lied about everything. I lied about nothing. I protected everyone. By stealing money for our wedding? By preserving family wealth? What family wealth, Brandon? You said your father was a retired small-town doctor. He is. Then where did $90,000 come from? Brandon looked trapped. His investments were performing better than expected. Stop lying to me. The entire ballroom was watching now. The wedding photographer lowered her camera. The string quartet stopped playing. Emma, I said quietly, would you like to know the truth about my finances? Dad, don't, Brandon warned. The truth about why your fiancé needed to steal my money instead of asking for help. I said don't. The truth about what happens when children assume their parents are helpless? Brandon lost control completely. Security, he shouted. Security! 2 men in black suits approached quickly. Remove this man from the premises, Brandon told them. Sir? One security guard asked. He's disrupting my wedding. Sir, this is your father? He's mentally incompetent. I have medical power of attorney. I pulled out my phone and showed the security guards a document. Actually, he doesn't. Brandon snatched my phone. Dad, shut up! Brandon, Emma gasped. All of you, shut up! The ballroom fell silent. Brandon realized what he'd done. 200 guests staring, Emma crying, security guards confused. Sir, the lead guard said, we need you to calm down. I am calm. Sir, you're shouting at your father. My father is disrupting my wedding. By telling the truth? Emma asked through tears. By refusing to sign legal documents. What legal documents? The security guard asked. Brandon pulled out the power of attorney papers I'd given him. These. He needs to sign these. Sir, no one can be forced to sign legal documents. He's mentally incompetent. Sir, he seems perfectly lucid to me. He has dementia. Brandon? Emma said quietly. You told me he has cancer. He has both. No, I said calmly. I have cancer. The dementia was Brandon's invention to justify taking control of my finances. The security guard looked at Brandon with new understanding. Sir, are you trying to force your father to sign power of attorney documents against his will? I'm trying to protect him. From what? From making stupid decisions about his own money. Emma covered her face with her hands. Sir, the security guard said, I think you need to step outside. This is my wedding. Sir, please come with us. No, remove him. Brandon pointed at me. He's the problem. The security guards exchanged glances. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave. Me? I'm paying for this. With stolen money, I added quietly. That was the breaking point. Brandon lunged at me. The security guards caught him immediately, restraining his arms as he struggled. Get your hands off me. This is my wedding, my reception, my father. 200 guests watched in stunned silence as security dragged the groom toward the exit. Dad, Brandon screamed as they pulled him away. Sign the papers! Sign them! The ballroom doors closed behind them. Emma collapsed into a chair, still in her wedding dress, crying. I knelt beside her. Emma, I'm sorry you had to see that. Is it true? About the money? Every word. About his job, his career. The ethics board meets in an hour. She looked up at me with tears streaming down her face. What happens now? Now, I said gently, you decide what kind of future you want. Without him? That's up to you. Emma nodded slowly, understanding flooding her features. The wedding was over. The real consequences were just beginning. The ballroom buzzed with confused murmurs. 200 guests sat frozen, unsure whether to leave or stay. Emma remained in her chair, wedding dress spread around her like a pool of white silk, staring at the doors where security had dragged Brandon. Pastor Miller approached us first, his face grave. "Bill, what just happened?" "The truth, John. Finally. About Brandon's behavior. About everything." I stood and faced the assembled guests. They deserved an explanation. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption. Emma, with your permission, I'd like to address our friends and family." Emma nodded, unable to speak. I walked to the altar where Brandon should have been standing. The microphone was still active from the ceremony preparations. "My name is Dr. William Matthews. Many of you know me as Brandon's father. What you don't know is why my son just had security remove me from his wedding." Silence filled the ballroom. Brandon demanded I sign power of attorney documents. When I refused, he became violent. Mrs. Patterson from our church raised her hand tentatively. "Bill, Brandon told us about your memory problems." "There are no memory problems, Dorothy. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer, terminal diagnosis, 6 months to live." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Brandon has known about my cancer since March. He never told Emma the truth." Emma's sobbing intensified. "Instead, he lied about dementia to justify rushing this wedding." Dr. Jenkins from my former medical practice stood up. "Bill, why would Brandon lie about your condition?" "To gain legal control over my assets before I die." "Your assets?" I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. "Brandon believes I'm a small-town doctor living on pension and Social Security. He's been stealing my pharmaceutical royalties, $47,000 monthly, to pay for this wedding." The crowd stirred uncomfortably. What Brandon doesn't know is the true scope of my wealth. I showed the phone screen to the first row of guests. "Current liquid assets, $8.5 million. The number spread through the ballroom like wildfire. People leaned forward, straining to see. "Plus this house, valued at $2.1 million. $10.5 million total," Dr. Jenkins said in amazement. "Money earned through 3 decades of medical practice, pharmaceutical consulting, and medical device patents." "Patents?" asked Emma's father, speaking for the first time. 17 active patents in medical devices, 12 pharmaceutical formulations, ongoing royalties and consulting contracts. Emma looked up at me with new understanding. "You're not poor. I'm not even close to poor. Then why—" She trailed off. "Why did I live so modestly? Because wealth corrupts people." Retripe continue. "Why did I live so modestly? Because wealth corrupts people. I wanted to raise my son based on values, not expectations of inheritance." Emma's father stepped forward. "Dr. Matthews, you're saying Brandon stole from you while planning to put you in a nursing home?" "Not just any nursing home. A Medicaid facility. He researched which ones accept state funding after forced assets spend down." The crowd murmured with disgust. "But if you have $10 million, Mrs. Patterson began. "Brandon didn't know about the $10 million. He thought he was stealing from a modest estate to fund his wedding." Dr. Wilson, my oncologist, stood from the back of the room. Several heads turned as she walked forward. "Dr. Matthews asked me to attend today as a witness." "Witness to what?" asked Emma's mother. "Medical record violations. Mr. Brandon Matthews used his hospital system access to illegally review his father's confidential patient files." Shocked gasps filled the room. "HIPAA violations," Dr. Jenkins said grimly. "That's federal crime." "It gets worse," Dr. Wilson continued. "Based on those illegally obtained records, Mr. Matthews began financial exploitation of a terminal cancer patient." "My God," whispered Pastor Miller. Emma stood up shakily. "Doctor, are you reporting this to authorities?" "The Hospital Ethics Board convenes in 20 minutes. Mr. Matthews' employment at Hartford Medical Center will be terminated immediately. Criminal referrals will follow." The reality hit Emma like a physical blow. "His career is over," Dr. Wilson said simply. "Medical professionals who exploit dying patients don't get second chances." Just then, the ballroom doors opened. Helen Davis entered, carrying her briefcase and followed by a man in a business suit. "Helen," I called out. "Everyone, this is my attorney, Helen Davis." Helen approached the altar with professional composure. "Dr. Matthews, the documents are ready." "What documents?" Emma asked. Helen opened her briefcase and pulled out legal papers. "New will. Complete revision. Complete. She handed me the documents. I held them up for everyone to see. My previous will left everything to Brandon. This new will redirects his inheritance. To whom? Pastor Miller asked. The American Cancer Society receives $4 million. The Connecticut Medical Foundation receives $3 million. Local hospice care receives $1.5 million. That's $8.5 million, calculated Dr. Jenkins. The house goes to Emma. Emma's mouth fell open. What? You're innocent in this, Emma. Brandon deceived you about everything. My condition, the money, the timeline. You deserve compensation for being dragged into his scheme. I can't accept. It's done. Helen, is the will properly executed? Signed, witnessed, and notarized 10 minutes ago in the parking lot. Helen indicated the man in the business suit. This is Notary Public James Wilson. Everything is legally binding. Emma stared at the documents. A $2 million house. Free and clear, no mortgage. No liens. But Brandon gets nothing. The finality of those words settled over the ballroom. Emma's father approached. Dr. Matthews, this is incredibly generous, but Emma was engaged to your son, who lied to her about my medical condition, stole money for their wedding, and planned to warehouse me in a state facility. Dad, Emma whispered, he's right. Pastor Miller stepped forward. Bill, what about forgiveness, reconciliation? John, I forgive my son, but forgiveness doesn't eliminate consequences. Consequences like disinheritance? Consequences like learning that actions matter. Dr. Wilson checked her watch. The ethics board meeting starts in 15 minutes. Dr. Matthews, will you be testifying? Absolutely. About the medical record violations? About everything. The illegal access, the financial theft, the nursing home planning, the lies to Emma. Helen closed her briefcase. Bill, once Dr. Wilson files her report, there's no going back. Good. Brandon could face federal charges. Even better. He'll lose his medical career permanently. He chose his path when he chose to steal from a dying father. Emma stood up, wedding dress rustling. Dr. Matthews? Call me Bill, Emma. Bill, what do you want me to tell Brandon? Tell him the truth. About my real diagnosis. About my real wealth. About the real consequences of greed. He loves you. He loves my money. Maybe he can change. Maybe, but change requires consequences first. Helen packed her documents. Bill, shall we proceed to the hospital for the ethics board meeting? Yes. Emma, would you like to come? You deserve to hear everything. Emma looked around the ballroom. 200 guests watching her every move, wedding reception food growing cold, marriage certificate unsigned. I think I need to go home. To the house Brandon shares with you? No, to my parents' house. I need to think. The new house deed will be ready tomorrow. Take your time deciding what to do with it. What if I don't want it? Then donate it to charity. It's yours to decide. Emma nodded, overwhelmed. Pastor Miller approached. Emma, would you like me to drive you home? Yes, please. As Emma gathered her dress to leave, she turned back to me. Bill? Yes. I'm sorry. For all of this. For not seeing who Brandon really was. Emma, love makes us blind sometimes. That's not your fault. Will you be okay with the cancer? I'll be fine. For the first time in months, I'll be fine. Emma smiled through her tears. Good. She walked toward the exit with Pastor Miller, wedding dress trailing behind her. Helen and Dr. Wilson flanked me as we headed for the doors. Ready? Helen asked. Ready. The status reversal was complete. Brandon, once the powerful medical professional controlling his father's health care, was now unemployed, criminally investigated, and disinherited. I, once the powerless cancer patient facing nursing home warehousing, was now in complete control of my destiny. Justice served. Hartford Medical Center, 4th floor conference room, 4:30 p.m. The Hospital Ethics Board convened in emergency session. Dr. Patricia Hayes, Chief of Staff. Dr. Robert Chen, Chief Medical Officer. Linda Rodriguez, Patient Privacy Officer. And Dr. Michael Foster, Chairman of Ethics Committee. Dr. Wilson presented the evidence methodically. Patient, Dr. William Matthews, age 58, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Son, Brandon Matthews, Hartford Medical Center administrative employee. She pulled up computer logs on the conference room screen. System access records show Brandon Matthews accessed his father's confidential medical files 17 times between March 15th and June 20th. Dr. Hayes leaned forward. 17 unauthorized accesses? Using his administrative credentials for personal purposes. What did he access specifically? Diagnostic imaging, laboratory results, oncology consultation notes, prognosis assessments, treatment recommendations. Did the patient authorize family access to these records? Dr. Matthews explicitly requested no family notification of his diagnosis. Linda Rodriguez pulled up Brandon's employment file. His access level shouldn't have included patient medical records. Correct. He used emergency override codes typically reserved for life-threatening situations. This is clear HIPAA violation, Dr. Foster stated. Dr. Wilson continued. Based on illegally obtained medical information, Brandon Matthews began systematic financial exploitation of his terminally ill father. She distributed printouts of bank records. Pharmaceutical royalty payments totaling $141,000 were redirected from Dr. Matthews' account to a joint account controlled by his son. Without the patient's knowledge? Dr. Hayes asked. Dr. Matthews discovered the theft 3 weeks ago. What was Brandon's stated purpose for the redirections? Asset protection for Medicaid nursing home qualification. The board members exchanged glances. He was planning to force his father into state-funded care? Linda Rodriguez asked. While stealing the assets that would have funded private care. Dr. Foster shook his head. This is elder abuse combined with medical privacy violations. It gets worse, Dr. Wilson said. Brandon lied to his fiancée about his father's condition to justify rushing their wedding timeline. What kind of lies? Told her Dr. Matthews had early-onset dementia rather than terminal cancer. To manipulate the wedding schedule? To gain power of attorney before his father's supposed mental incapacity progressed. Dr. Hayes stood up. Where is Brandon Matthews now? Unknown. Security removed him from his wedding reception approximately 1 hour ago. For what reason? Attempting to physically force his father to sign power of attorney documents. In front of wedding guests? 200 witnesses. The room fell silent. Dr. Foster broke the silence. Linda, what are our legal obligations here? Immediate termination for HIPAA violations. Criminal referral to federal authorities for elder abuse. Report to State Medical Board regarding his healthcare credentials. Does Brandon have medical credentials? Hospital administration certificate. Not medical license, but healthcare professional standards still apply. Dr. Hayes pulled up Brandon's employment record. 6 years with Hartford Medical Center. Clean record until now. Clean because no one was monitoring his system access for personal use, Linda Rodriguez noted. That stops today, Dr. Chen said firmly. I want audit protocols for all administrative access to patient records. Dr. Wilson presented the final evidence. Dr. Matthews has prepared a formal complaint documenting the timeline of violations. She handed each board member a folder. Illegal medical record access, financial fraud, elder abuse planning, and family deception. Dr. Matthews is willing to testify in any legal proceedings. Dr. Hayes reviewed the documents. The evidence is overwhelming. What's our timeline for action? Dr. Foster asked. Immediate termination effective now. Security will escort Brandon from the premises if he returns. All access credentials revoked. Criminal referral? Filed within 24 hours. State Medical Board notification? Same timeline. Linda Rodriguez made notes. I'll handle the federal reporting requirements for HIPAA violations. Penalty range? Dr. Chen asked. Individual HIPAA violations, $50,000 to $1.5 million per incident. 17 incidents puts Brandon in criminal prosecution territory. Prison time? Up to 10 years for aggravated identity theft and elder abuse. Dr. Hayes closed her folder. This is the most egregious case of family exploitation I've seen. Dr. Wilson, Dr. Foster said, how is Dr. Matthews handling this emotionally? Remarkably well. He's more disappointed than angry. What about his prognosis? 6 months median survival, but he's determined to use that time to ensure this never happens to other families. How so? He's donating $8.5 million to medical charities and patient advocacy organizations. The board members sat in stunned silence. $8.5 million? Dr. Hayes repeated. Brandon was stealing from a multimillionaire while planning to warehouse him in Medicaid facilities. Dr. Chen laughed bitterly. The irony is perfect. Dr. Matthews wants to create awareness about family exploitation of terminal patients, Dr. Wilson continued. Fund legal protections, support caregiver education. Turning his betrayal into systemic change, Dr. Foster observed. Exactly. Dr. Hayes stood. All in favor of immediate termination of Brandon Matthews? 4 hands raised unanimously. Criminal referral? 4 hands again. State board notification? Unanimous. Linda, Draft termination letter immediately. Security, revoke all credentials. Dr. Wilson. Thank Dr. Matthews for his courage in reporting this. I will. One more thing, Dr. Foster added. I want this case study presented at our next medical ethics conference. Other hospitals need to know how administrative access can be weaponized against patients. Agreed. The meeting concluded at 5:15 p.m. As I left the hospital, my phone buzzed with a text from Helen. Federal authorities want to interview you Monday morning. Are you prepared? I texted back. Ready. Another text, this one from Emma. Brandon came to my parents' house. I didn't let him in. Thank you for telling me the truth. I responded, you deserve honesty. Take care of yourself. The final text was from Pastor Miller. The congregation is praying for you. And for Brandon. What you did today was brave. I didn't respond to that one. Bravery wasn't the right word. Justice was. Monday morning, August 14th. Federal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. Special Agent Lisa Murphy, FBI Financial Crimes Division, reviewed my evidence for 2 hours. Bank records, email correspondence, hospital access logs, nursing home inquiries, everything laid out in chronological order. Dr. Matthews, this is textbook elder financial abuse. Combined with medical privacy violations. The HIPAA charges alone carry serious penalties, but when you add financial exploitation of a terminal patient, she shook her head. Federal prosecutors love cases like this. What's the timeline? Grand jury indictment within 30 days, trial probably 6 months out. I may not be alive for trial. Agent Murphy's expression softened. We'll expedite where possible. Your victim impact statement can be video recorded if necessary. What charges is Brandon facing? Wire fraud, elder abuse, identity theft, HIPAA violations, conspiracy to commit Medicaid fraud? Potential sentence? 15 to 20 years if convicted on all counts. The weight of those words settled between us. Agent Murphy, I want justice, not vengeance. Sometimes they're the same thing. Tuesday brought news of Brandon's arrest. Helen called at 8 a.m. FBI picked him up at Emma's apartment. He'd been sleeping in his car in her parking lot. How is Emma? Relieved. She filed restraining order yesterday. Good for her. Bill, there's something else. Brandon's attorney wants to meet. About what? Plea bargain. Full confession in exchange for reduced sentence. What kind of reduction? 5 years instead of 20. I considered this. 5 years in federal prison would destroy Brandon's career permanently, but give him chance to rebuild his life afterward. What does he have to confess to? Everything. Medical record violations, financial theft, elder abuse planning, lying to Emma, the nursing home scheme, public confession, court record, admitting guilt to federal judge. Helen, what do you recommend? Take the plea. 20 years destroys him completely. 5 years teaches consequences while preserving hope for redemption. Wednesday, Emma called. Bill, I've been thinking about the house. What about it? I want to do something meaningful with it, such as turn it into transitional housing for families dealing with terminal illness, free accommodation near hospitals for people who can't afford hotels. The idea took my breath away. Emma, that's beautiful. It would honor your memory, help other families avoid what we went through. What would you call it? The Matthews Family House, for dignity in difficult times. I wiped tears from my eyes. Emma, I couldn't be more proud of that decision. Really? Really. Helen can help with the legal structure. Thank you for everything. Thursday brought unexpected visitor, Brandon's former supervisor at Hartford Medical Center. Dr. Matthews, I owe you an apology. For what, Mr. Peterson? We should have caught Brandon's unauthorized access months ago. Our monitoring systems failed. What are you doing to fix that? Complete overhaul. No administrative employee will have patient record access without medical supervision. Good. We're also implementing family exploitation awareness training, using your case as example. With my permission. If you're willing, your experience could prevent this happening to other families. I'm willing. Friday afternoon, Dr. Wilson delivered my updated prognosis. How are you feeling? Stronger than I have in months. The stress resolution probably helps. Knowing my son can't steal from me anymore definitely helps. Bill, we need to discuss treatment options, such as palliative chemotherapy might extend survival 3 to 6 months. Quality of life impact? Significant fatigue, nausea, cognitive effects. What would you do in my situation? Dr. Wilson considered carefully. I'd focus on quality time rather than quantity. No chemo? Comfort care, pain management, hospice when appropriate. That's my choice. You're sure? I'm sure. I want to spend my remaining time helping other families avoid Brandon's deception. The patient advocacy work? Exactly. Saturday brought the most difficult conversation yet. Brandon called from jail. Dad? Hello, Brandon. They say you'll accept plea bargain. I will. 5 years in federal prison. Yes. Dad, I'm sorry. Silence stretched between us.
Are you sorry for what you did or sorry you got caught? Both. At least he was honest. Brandon, I forgive you. You do? I forgive you, but I don't trust you. Dad, actions have consequences. You plan to warehouse me in a nursing home while stealing my money. Those consequences include prison. I was scared about healthcare costs. You were scared about inheriting less money. Maybe. Definitely. Dad, can we rebuild our relationship after I get out? We can try, but trust has to be earned back. How? 5 years of thinking about what you did wrong. 5 years of understanding why it was wrong. 5 years of becoming someone worthy of forgiveness. And then we'll see. Sunday, Pastor Miller visited. Bill, how are you processing all this? Better than expected. Really? For the first time in months, I have control over my life again. What about Brandon? What about him? Don't you feel guilty about his situation? John, I feel sad about his choices. But guilt belongs to people who did something wrong. And you didn't? I trusted my son. That's not wrong. Even if it led to this outcome? This outcome led to Brandon facing consequences for his actions. That's healthy. Forgiveness is also healthy. I forgave him. I didn't enable him. Pastor Miller nodded thoughtfully. Bill, you've taught our entire congregation about boundaries. How so? Love without accountability isn't love, it's codependency. Exactly. The consequences were complete. Brandon faced federal prison, career destruction, and loss of inheritance. Emma gained a house and freedom from deception. I gained peace of mind and purpose for my remaining time. Justice served. Dignity restored. Time to focus on living. 3 months later, November 15th, I sat in my study, reviewing architectural plans for the Matthews family house. Emma had worked with contractors to design transitional housing for 12 families, simple but dignified rooms where relatives could stay while loved ones received terminal care at nearby hospitals. The phone rang. Dr. Wilson with monthly check-in. How's your pain level? Manageable. The new medication helps. Energy levels? Good days and bad days. That's normal for your stage. Sarah, I need to ask you something. What's that? How much time do you think I have left? Silence. Doctors hate that question. Bill, prognosis is always uncertain. Best guess. 3 to 4 months. So March or April. Possibly. Good. That gives me time to see the family house opening. When is that? February 14th, Valentine's Day. Emma thought it was appropriate, showing love through action. She's remarkable. Yes, she is. And after hanging up, I opened my laptop and began writing final letters. The first was to Emma. Dear Emma, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Thank you for turning my betrayal into something beautiful. The Matthews family house will help thousands of families maintain dignity during the worst times of their lives. You took my son's greed and transformed it into generosity. That's the definition of grace. The second was to Brandon, currently serving month 4 of his federal sentence. Son, I hope prison gives you time to think about what really matters. Money isn't evil. The love of money is. I raised you to value character over cash. Somewhere along the way you forgot that lesson. Maybe 5 years will help you remember. I love you. I forgive you. I hope you'll forgive yourself and become the man I know you can be. The third was to Dr. Wilson and the Hospital Ethics Board. Thank you for taking my case seriously. The new policies you've implemented will protect countless families from exploitation. Medical records are sacred trusts. Family members who violate that trust should face serious consequences. You provided those consequences. The final letter was to anyone who might read my story. If you're watching this because someone shared my experience, remember, dying doesn't make you powerless. It clarifies your power. Use that clarity wisely. Stand up for yourself even when, especially when, family members try to silence you. Love doesn't require surrender of dignity. I sealed the letters in envelopes marked to be opened after my death. Outside, snow fell softly on the Connecticut countryside. My house, soon to become housing for families in crisis, looked peaceful in the winter light. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Construction ahead of schedule. February opening confirmed. Thank you for making this possible. I texted back. Thank you for making my final months meaningful. Another text arrived from an unknown number. Dr. Matthews, this is Maria Santos. My husband has pancreatic cancer. I heard about your story. Can we talk? I'm scared my family is planning something similar. I called her immediately. Maria, you're not alone. Let me help. Dignity restored. Boundaries established. Purpose fulfilled. The best revenge was living well and helping others do the same. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Have you ever had to stand up to family members who mistook your kindness for weakness? Sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who hurt us deepest. But sometimes fighting back is the most loving thing you can do.